You could have such a different background and still be successful because there's so many paths to success in real estate. You could be an engineer, you could be an attorney, you could be a doctor, you could be a stay-at-home caretaker of your children and decide to pivot into this. And each one of those people could be equally successful in real estate because there's different ways to get to success.
I've been so excited to get to visit with you today because you know what I've learned, Joe? I've learned that people in life often create new thoughts when they hear other people playing with thoughts that seem unreal for some. And you know, as I get to know you better, we recently met, Joe. For those listening, we filmed a very special episode here in Los Angeles. Joe is a leader in the Palisades, living in the heart of community that he becomes a very strong part of. And as we know, those listening, that our Palisades had a devastation event that took place and literally wiped out communities and parts of neighborhoods that Joe's such a strong leader through. And we met because Joe was willing to share his story, well, with all of us, of what it was to be in that moment. What a pivotal, life-changing event. And Joe, gosh, the more I get to know you, what I've learned is that a lot of the things that I see that you unlock in life does so in the spirit of leadership and allowing others to see visions and paths on how to do the things they might not have thought of they could do just the minute before. And I love some of that you shared on television with all of our viewers, Joe, where you shared a little bit about not everybody's experienced a fire rebuilt before. And there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of things of how do we do it? And Joe, what I love about you and your whole team is that you've created a path for your community to reach out to you, to find out how to do it when we've never done it before. It helps when we have leaders that can show us and teach us the things we never knew. And Joe, I just really love beautiful people that show up in life and make a significant difference. And gosh, what do I mean by that? Well, you know, isn't it amazing? All of us have different career paths we begin life through. And Joe, if I'm correct, you started off a career as an attorney.
I did.
Getting your law degree here in Los Angeles, a California native, growing up in Santa Clarita, and we all kind of start somewhere in life. And you started your life here.
I did, yeah.
And then some other beautiful things happened on your journey. So Santa Clarita is a community that's continuing to grow with planned developments. And knowing that you grew up there originally, something tells me as we reflect backwards and seeing its life today and where it was, what was life like? Is it just you, Joe, and family? Are you with siblings?
Yeah, I had 2 siblings. I was the oldest of 3. And we grew up in a modest home in Santa Clarita. We really saw the, expansion of homes being built in tract communities, very different from the West Side in how the homes were built on the West Side. For the most part, if those tracts were built, they were built quite some time ago, and the homes had been torn down and rebuilt since. But in Santa Clarita, it was more of the original housing community. And then we moved to Palmdale, where everything was new. Everything was being built, and that place was exploding with new construction. So I've certainly seen and been a part of a community that was expanding with new construction before, but it's quite a bit different than what we're experiencing now in the Palisades.
Oh, wow. Oh, 100%, Joe. And Joe, please, silly question. Growing up in that era, can I ask, would you say back then it was more rural to the city of Los Angeles? Did you feel connected to the city of LA, or did you feel like you were in your own different? Was it a smaller community, Joe? How large was it back then?
Yeah, it was a smaller community for sure, but we did feel connected to LA. And so we would travel to Los Angeles to go to the mall, go to the beach, enjoy the the excitement that LA had to offer, but then we could retreat to this small, quiet community.
I love life when you can do that. And Joe, please, growing up, did you always knew that you wanted to be an attorney? How did the path to law school at UCLA happen for you?
Yeah, my grandmother used to take me to the public library, and we used to listen to people read books when I was a young child. And somehow, some way, there was some discussion about a lawyer. And so my grandmother got fixated on the fact that as a 6-year-old, I was ready to take that path and become a lawyer. And I really didn't necessarily think that that was what I was going to do. And then at some point, I thought I might go into the FBI.
Wow.
But ultimately, I did follow that path, and I did go in that direction. So the power of influence when you're a child, you don't underestimate that. And just at the public library and with my grandmother, that's where the seed took place.
Oh, I just got goosebumps everywhere, Joe. That's so powerful. It's true, isn't it, Joe? Seeds get planted early in life. It's what we do with that seed. Look at that. She did that. That happened at the library, that seed planting?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I remember it even till
That's
today.
Powerful, Joe. And so, Joe, so when you're like making decisions, I think most of us, right, we're turning of age. We left high school. Now our adult journey begins to be the story we want to self-create. And here you are with the seed from way back then. And here you are heading off to law school. And then you beyond successfully, were a part of law. Tell me, can I please, Joe? Because I think that life happens for most of us through the seeds. And sometimes not all the seeds grow to be beautiful thoughts later. Sometimes seeds get planted that kind of remove self-belief, remove the ability to imagine and to believe in the imaginations we create. But something tells me that you had a vision placed on that seed that saw you successfully doing law. Can I ask, when you finished law, Joe, the schooling of it all and passing the bar and then practicing the vision you had for yourself when you first saw yourself doing this, was it the same? Did it fit?
Yeah, so I practiced law and I became a litigator, and I was at a Beverly Hills law firm, a prominent one, the oldest one in Beverly Hills. And what I came to realize was I felt like the process was not really efficient, and it bothered me. The litigation process of firing off questions to the other party who gives you a form rejection response, and you go back and forth, and all this time you're spending a lot of money, a lot of attorney hours on something that could be handled in a much more efficient way. And so what I decided was there was 2 choices for me. Either I was going to try to fix that system, yes, or I was going to remove myself from it. And fixing the system, the legal system in the United States, I felt like was going to be a really big uphill battle. And I had to decide, is that something I want to commit my life to? And ultimately, I decided it wasn't. And so I removed myself from it, and I found something that I actually felt a passion for, and that was residential real estate.
Wow. What a big move from one area to the other. And Joe, I love how they kind of blend incredibly well together. It's almost like you're knitting with the finest yarn you can find from the beautiful, beautiful fabrics and things you create in life. And I mean it. Why? Because there's so much law that happens in the art of great real estate, and understanding the things that live in contracts is so powerful. And I just love how you found a footprint to bring that to your real estate business. Joe, can I ask, when you were doing law and finding that realization, how long were you practicing, Joe, before the change? What, doing the law to the real estate?
Yeah, just under 3 years.
Oh, it didn't take long to discover. That isn't that true though, Joe? Please, can we talk about that for a minute? Do you mind? Can I ask a silly question? Look at me, I'm getting all excited again. Why? Well, I think many of us, Joe, I think a lot of us self-create a vision, a dream, and then we believe in the dreams we self-create, and then we unlock the path that lets us have it experienced. And I've learned that not all dreams fit the way the
Right.
dreams told us it could. And not everybody can manage that feeling well, because sometimes it can have an emotional experience when we give so much in a self-belief to a vision that we self-created for ourselves to see, and then we believe the heck out of it. Is why we woke up every day to listen to the lectures, to do the testings, to do all of the work, because our inner drive told us this is where we're supposed to be. But on the path we learned, no, it isn't. Fibs and lies. Joe, how did you manage that feeling? What did it feel like after giving so much educational hours, doing the process you went through, Joe, to see that it didn't fit the way you thought it had the right to?
Yeah, no, it was certainly challenging. In fact, I felt it more pressure because I didn't want to let my parents down. And so my dad was an auto body repairman that was an immigrant from Croatia. My mom was a stay-at-home mom for our family. And really, they both made some major sacrifices so that I could get a good education and make it to and through law school. And to be able to, go to a top law school, graduate in a really great way, kind of towards the top of my class, and then get a law job, and then basically say, I'm going to give all of this away to do something where you only needed a high school degree, in order to pursue, residential real estate. And so I did not want to, offend my family. I did not want to let them down. And so that was a challenge, certainly. But ultimately, they were very supportive of me following in, something that I was going to be more passionate about. And I felt like if it didn't work out, I could find another direction to head in, whether it was a different type of practice of law or whether it was a different career. I was confident enough and young enough at the time where I didn't have dependents. I wasn't married. I didn't have children. And so it was really, I just needed to take care of myself, and I felt like I could do it.
Wow. That's so powerful, Joe. Disappointment, that's the perfect word, isn't it? And especially when it comes from family supporting the vision and the dream and doing the everything, and then it doesn't. Gosh, how long did it take you to get comfortable enough to allow the change to take place through the disappointment? And may I ask a silly question, Joe? In that process, how were you able to renegotiate inner thought? How did you allow the uncomfortable to get comfortable? What was the it moment?
The pivotal moment in my legal career that actually made this happen was a trial, and it was a federal trial. And I was working on this trial, and it was a team of 3 attorneys, and I was one of them. And we won. We won the verdict, and we were up against a major law firm out of New York. And at the time, the partner on the team, the head guy said, "It doesn't get any better than this." And when he said that, I took that in, and then we realized that the jury made a mistake on the verdict. And so I was determined to fix that mistake. And so everybody else on the team was exhausted by the trial. We had won the trial, but I said, you know what? We didn't win because the jury made an error, and it cost our clients the money that they were expecting or the jury intended to give them. So I went back to the office, and I worked all weekend, and I drafted a brief to take up on appeal, a writ, and the appellate court denied it. And it was that moment where I just kept having this flashback of, it doesn't get any better than this. And I thought, okay, right now, I need to make a move to something else. And so it was baby steps. So I took baby steps. I had to take the broker exam. So I had to wait until that was offered. I took that exam. I had to get the results, pass the exam. So then I knew at that point, okay, I can make the transition, but I have to let this law firm know that I'm leaving. And that was difficult because I actually really enjoyed my colleagues there. I appreciated what they did for me. They gave me a tremendous amount of experience. So I was only a practicing lawyer for a few years, but I was in court. I was arguing motions. I was, negotiating major settlements. And so they gave me a lot of authority to do things that typically you would not get at such a young age or experience level. But I had a lot of experience in those 3 years. In fact, I could talk to attorneys that have been, practicing for 9 years and they didn't have as much experience as I got in those 3. And so I appreciated that they let me do that. I got a lot of experience, but I got the sense that I needed to do something else, and I took the baby steps to get there.
I love it so very much, Joe. I love it so much. It's proof, isn't it, Joe? We're proof in life that those folks that try a dream and allow ourselves to be repositioned for something totally different and to find a way to realign to the different. And I think that that's kind of how you start unlocking the things in life that others sometimes don't even allow themselves to dream available, or only get stuck in a dream vision, but lack the belief in the dreams they're creating. What I love about you, Joe, my gosh, is that you allow me, please, if I'm wrong, but you know what I'm hearing? And I think we share a lot in common in that regard. Joe, please, I don't know how long I get in life, but I know while I'm present, I want to be activated in joy. And I try to find it as often as I can throughout the day. And if it doesn't show its presence, I readjust until I can find it again. And sometimes readjustments are life events that are readjustments to allow joy to stay stabilized in my life. I have a feeling what we're speaking about now is one of those moments where joy sounds like it left the playground and it wasn't activating your passions correctly. And we're once in these bodies and we deserve passion activated correctly, different for all of us. And Joe, you found the path to allow it. And that's after all of that backstory that lived behind it. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Joe, I love what you said, in baby steps. And what I heard is that it happens because of the reflections of the things that happened that you allowed to be revisited. And you allowed yourself to soak in that and to see if it was answering the joy space correctly, if this was the best it gets. Well, then if that's the best, and happy's not here the way it deserves to be, enough of this. Joe, I just love it. I think it's really hard for many. And I love what you said, that your parents, Joe, supported the dream financially, emotionally, so many ways of the support, and even supported the other side when you made a reshift. So now here you are, significant rapidly in an industry so many try to find their spot in. What I love already also, Joe, you didn't just find a spot, friend. No. Look at, I've got the goose pimples back. Who the heck lands at one of the biggest prominent law firms in Beverly Hills fresh out of school? Well, I'll tell you. Well, Joe does. Why? Because that's what passionate dreamers do. They create visions that they believe in, and they find a way to get through life. And life for everybody is possible when we believe we can. Joe, I love it. I so very much. And real estate, another playground, Joe, right? Where there's so much opportunity and so many people in life trying to find their space in that opportunity space. And here comes my friend Joe, attorney, doing litigations with all of that world and what it means, stepping into the art of real estate. And Joe, boy, I'll tell you, for those hearing us now, Joe didn't just step into real estate. No, very similar to law, where Joe became significant rapidly. Joe, please. You left law, you came into real estate. Share with us, please, because I think a lot of people in industry, I don't know if all of us start in real estate. And I think some of us that are here through career changes as well on the path of life. And real estate sounded like it could have a great chance for them to love. You did.
Yeah. So I had purchased a condo my first year practicing law. And all of my friends thought I was crazy because they thought, how could you possibly be buying something? Like, you're just new to the work world, and you're already buying something. And one of my friends had bought one, who was not an attorney, and I decided that that's what I wanted to do. And so I had a bonus, took that bonus money, used it for a down payment, and bought a condo. And the condo rapidly appreciated in value in just 1 year. And I enjoyed the process of that. I had an agent who helped me with that condo purchase. And I saw some shortcomings in the way in which she went about business, but she was quite nice and helpful in the process. But when I started thinking about what I could do differently than the practice of law, I thought, I really enjoyed that process of buying a place, and thought, I could help others do this. And so one of my clients was a real estate brokerage company, and I had been representing them in litigation matters. And I decided that I would tee up a meeting with them and say, hey, I'm thinking about coming and joining you as an agent. What do you think about that? And that's how it got kicked off. And so I made the transition. But what I ended up doing was I ended up selling that condo that I had purchased. And that gave me enough money where I thought I could work for a year and not make any money, and I could have the same lifestyle that I was basically living at the time, which was a modest lifestyle. But nonetheless, I could get by, I could pay my bills. And so if I failed, I was going to give myself enough runway, and I went for it, and I never looked back.
Joe, what year are we in, please? Can you timestamp that year?
Yeah, so that was 2004.
Wow.
Where I made that transition, so 21 years ago. And at the time the real estate market was really kind of moving pretty strong. And so it was a good time to get started. And so I had that benefit. And I represented a lot of young attorneys that I knew that wanted to buy their first homes. And so
that's brilliant, Joe. You reflected in your sphere of student friends from growing. Wow, isn't that delicious?
Yeah, so that's what got me kicked off, and it really, really went well. And in fact, at first, I would feel so guilty because when I was practicing law, I had billable hours, and anytime I was not billing hours, I felt uncomfortable because I had goals in life. I wanted to hit my bonus thresholds. I wanted to bill. And so when I was away from work, I felt guilty. When I switched careers, I felt guilty because it didn't feel like work anymore. And I knew what it felt like to work hard. And then I was in this new career where I didn't feel like I was working. And I felt like all my friends that were still working hard, I felt bad and I felt guilty.
I love everything you're saying, Joe. That's passion found. And didn't you hear Joe say too? And it's true, everybody hearing us now, believe this. You have the right to be successful if your passion is activated through real estate. Did you hear, Joe, what the minimum requirement? Did you hear the high school? Not too much needed for a world with endless possibilities. And Joe, I bet you would say that that's a fair statement, that there's no necessarily a ceiling or a limit of how an individual can perform in the art of real estate.
For sure. And you could have such a different background and still be successful because there's so many paths to success in real estate. You could be an engineer, you could be an attorney, you could be a doctor, you could be a stay-at-home caretaker of your children and decide to pivot into this. And each one of those people could be equally successful in real estate because there's different ways to get to success.
Well, I love all of that. And Joe, please, I love that you knew somebody that you liked and trusted, and they were the bridge of how to move in there. So there was a pre-present trusted relationship. And I think for all of listening to us who might have real estate on their mind as a journey to find their path in life through. Because I share Joe's feeling, by the way, for all those listening, Joe and I share real estate as a commonality thread. And I'm with Joe. Some people go to work, some people are at work, and then every now and then you meet these crazy folks. Nobody told them they're even working because they love what they do. And I started in 1997 in this industry, and I share what you share, Joe, and a passion still so authentically available. And for those listening, you can do this. It is absolutely possible, but it happens, I think, better for most, Joe, and you can correct me. I think who you team up with, who helps to shape your beginnings, that piece matters a lot. For me, her name is Peaches, an incredible woman with ethics and morals at the highest level, making sure, because it's fun to close transactions. Do you know what's even more fun? Being in business tomorrow to close some extra more. It seems fun in that you can trick a system to make it switch and behave. You don't need to do that. And you'll learn that when you team up with somebody of significance in industry. And Joe, gosh, named Los Angeles real estate superstar here in LA 2 years in a row, 23, 24, leader of influence. You've got so many recognitions. Joe, you're a leader. You manage how many Sotheby's office and over 400. Joe, you started into the real estate, and it was in the ability to find a path by serving the students of law who you built friendships and trust, and they knew you were representing this, and they said, of course, Joe, we're following you. Why? Because, Joe, you were a leader in school. You're going to be a leader here, too. People love following leaders, great leaders. And here you are bringing leadership to real estate. Joe, can I ask, please, how long on your real estate path till you started managing real estate versus only representing selling and listings and other paths? When did management happen for you?
So I was about a year and a half in to being an agent. And I had a lot of agents in the office coming to me and asking me questions because they knew I was a lawyer and they knew I had a different perspective on things. And as you articulated earlier, real estate is intertwined with law. And so I was answering questions, and the office administrator at the time said, you're spending an awful lot of time helping other people. Maybe you should get paid for that. And so they decided to create a position of an associate manager, and I could still sell real estate, but I was also managing and helping manage the flagship office for my company in Beverly Hills. And I did that. And then there was a market shift. And also I was realizing that I was spending a lot of my time doing that. And our company ended up acquiring another company and expanding. And so the position of being the actual full manager of the office became available.
Oh.
So I then was managing pretty early on in my career, the Beverly Hills office for my company. And I did that, and we grew, and it was really thriving and doing really, really well. And at some point I was on autopilot and I was looking for my next challenge. So I thought I'd like to expand and manage other offices that we have in the LA area. And then, life changes and pivots, and they said, that's a great idea, but we're going to have you go manage those other offices and leave the Beverly Hills office behind.
Oh.
And so I did. I managed Brentwood and helped out with Malibu and Westlake Village. And I expanded to managing, multiple offices in the LA region, and did that for quite some time. And then again, I made another pivot, but we can get into that in a bit.
So managing. So we try the idea, we step into the idea, but those connected to their passionate, authentic selves turn into leadership quickly. Why? because other people recognize incredibly passionate people connected into what it is they're passionate about. And we want to be around those people if we're in the same industry that we're sharing together. Those are the superstars we try to find. Joe, my gosh, look at you doing it again. So a year and a half in, now you're managing, and then it's the flagship for, I think, most agents wanting to work a luxury market. Well, of course, we want Beverly Hills on our business card. We're Beverly Hills agents. We're not just run of a mill, because life is about perception. And so a flagship office, then taking over 3 other offices, my God, over 400 agents, making a significant difference in real estate because it's where we live. It's the home. I mean, we cook, sleep, dream, all the things happen there. And so it's so emotional. It's more than just an investment, even though that's awesome also. So Joe, please. So you're 04, you're managing. It's like 06, 07 in that era. And then the 07, August 17th happened in 07, and then dramatic changes unfolding, 08 and all the other years forward. And well, who stands up strong with a strong backbone in all of our markets? Leaders, believers that keep everybody aligned to self-believe also, even though it's noisy all around us, because markets often have an opportunity. Sometimes they just take on a different color.
Yeah.
And I love it. So Joe, now are we running into the year of 2018? Does something magical happen on the journey of your beautiful life in real estate? So 10 years or more, got 12, Joe, you just said, you gave a hint. There was another life-changing event in career. What happened, Joe?
Yeah. So as what happened in Beverly Hills, where things were going really smoothly and everything was easy, I decided, okay, what's the next challenge? So I was managing the Brentwood office for Sotheby's, and it was going really well at the time. And then I decided, I'm up for the next challenge. And the next challenge was, can I go back to being an agent in the field again and become a top agent?
Wow.
And having managed and not been able to sell during that time, sure, I helped agents with all of their transactions. And I was very hands-on as a manager, from listing appointments to solving the complexities of issues that popped up along the way. So I was very close to the business, but I wasn't going out and hustling for my own clients. And I decided that this time around, though, I had 2 children, a wife, a mortgage, a dog. I had a lot of responsibilities that I didn't have the last time I said no to a salary. And so this time along, I had to not get my parents on board with it so much as I had to get my wife on board with it. And I did have dependents. So it wasn't just me I was responsible for. So if I went from making a considerable amount of money every year to making 0, yes, that was going to be tough.
Because you're going from salary to commission only, right, Joe?
Totally. Commission only. And so I had to have faith that if I made that change, I could provide for my family. And I also had to have a wife that was willing to go along with that, because I think it was a big risk for her, and it wasn't just her, it was, our children as well. And so she bought in, and she wasn't quite sure what to think, I got to tell you, but she said, if you believe in it, then I'll believe in it. And we went for it.
Wow, that's so powerful. Because that's a huge change, right? Because it's one thing to support, to mentor and inspire a team and others and give incredible guidance with a focus on their successes. Because the more they're successful, we all are. But now you're the one being invited to go knock on the door of somebody fresh and new that didn't know they needed to work with you on real estate. So you're confronted all of a sudden with what most of us in industry who say yes to the idea of that version of industry outside of management, now we're in the actual doing of the business. Wow, Joe, what a huge, I love the dreamer you are. I love it. That is significant, Joe. Because now it's not just Joe. Now is Joe with family, and commission only is exactly what it sounds like. No deal, no pay. They don't give you one just because you didn't get it and we love you here. No, no deal, no pay. Joe, please. You said yes to this great idea and you went back to sales. God, what a bold move. Joe, how long did it take to start behaving, to have a flow that felt reliable?
Thank goodness when I did it, I was really kind of shot out of a cannon, and I was fortunate enough to line up some immediate business that gave me a bit of a runway. And so I had a friend who had a big piece of property that needed to get sold. And then I had some other deals that just came to me almost immediately with this change. And thank goodness for that, because that obviously led to more confidence and then more and more transactions. And so my goal was try to get to the top as quickly as possible, because if you can get to a point of getting business and being perceived as a top agent, it is easier to get more business moving forward. And so I worked nonstop. I was just working around the clock to make sure that I was not going to fail at this, because I couldn't. I had mouths to feed. And so that gave me the passion. But I also, one of the things that I did, despite the fact that in this business, yes, I don't get paid unless I close a deal, I still told those buyers and those sellers the truth, whether it was in my interest or not. I would tell them, don't buy this house. I don't think that you should buy this house. And you know what? Some of those clients thanked me and they went and bought a different house with somebody else. And I could have made the commission on that. But I like to sleep at night. And I like to know that the advice that I give someone, whether it's right or wrong, is what I 100% believe to be the right thing. And so I'm not saying that I haven't ever made mistakes or projections. You know, COVID hit. Did I think real estate prices were going up? No. I didn't think that was going to cause real estate prices to go up. So,
not like that.
So I've made mistakes. I'm not saying I'm 100%, infallible in that regard, but I will tell you what I truly believe.
Gosh, you give away so much beautiful, beautiful nuggets of life. And I'm so glad everybody's tuned in to hear this. Joe, please. That's it. Everybody, please. That's it. Joe had an opportunity. But as you heard Joe say, in every opportunity he's positioned in front of, Joe and I share this so much in common. That's why I know this is so real, everybody listening to us right now. Please believe. Share your authentic truth. Don't speak thoughts through your wallet. Speak it through the benefit of the client you're asked to represent. Believe that no matter what, if you stay in that authentic space of representing their real best interest, that your wallet will be deliciously rewarded. And it's going to happen in indirect ways, because all we really have in business is our trust. It's our word that people are purchasing. Remember, we don't have the houses. That's the seller. And we don't have the buyers. That's the buyer. We're asked to be the person in the middle, filled with a spirit of trust. And those that are become advisors of real estate, and those that don't simply try to sell the real estate. And it's a different model, Joe, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
And so, Joe, yeah. My God, I just love who you are. Joe, thank you for being you, and thank you for being you here. And I mean it. It all matters. I knew it that day when we were filming and you were the voice for your community, helping people get through scary life events and giving them something to believe in. You're that person, Joe. Joe, please. So when you entered into the sales market, back into it fresh, new again, these are all opportunities. And everybody listening, please, there's opportunities everywhere. We're just not looking at them. They're right there in front of our face, all of us. And so please, it's just what you do with the opportunity that makes it behave or not. And so I say that out loud because Joe, here you are coming back in with a story of yes, you can, and everything's just going to work, because if you don't have that inner thought, of course it's not. Life's going to give you whatever you're thinking is available. So I love your inner thought saying it would. Joe, did you do it alone? Is it just yourself, or you? I know the answer, but Joe, our listeners. So you came back in. I'm guessing an individual agent first.
Yeah. So I decided that I would team up with somebody in my office who had a skill set that I did not have, and also someone who I trusted. And trust was the most important factor. And so when I was managing, let's say my sister wanted to buy a house, I trusted this agent with that transaction because I knew that he would want to do the best for her. So it was the agent that I trusted with my family's real estate. And I decided to team up, and he had he was very good with technology. And so technology was something that I would say was not a strength of mine. And so I had to find a way in an ever-changing field where technology matters. And yes, there's a lot of other things that matter, and perhaps even more, but technology matters. And to have somebody who had that unique skill set, a marketing background, and could build websites and do various things that I couldn't. And so I started the team with him, Bruno. And I then had another agent in the office that said, I love the company, I love everything, but I need to be on a team, and either I want to join your team or I'm leaving. And I trusted him as well. And so he joined. And so there were three of us, and we've expanded, throughout time and added others. But the team is not a really big team. And I'm really more focused on growing our business and not so much growing the headcount of the team. And so right now, given what's happened in the Palisades, I'm acutely focused on how I can advance that community forward. And I'm dedicating more time than ever to being on the front lines with clients, buyers and sellers. And so my time commitment to new team members is not there the way that perhaps a different path would have been. For now, I'm really focused on, growing and helping that community in Pacific Palisades.
Oh, I love it, Joe. Please, I'm so grateful. So for those listening, we did a very, very, very special episode about the LA fires and the recovery. And I say I'm talking about the American Dream TV network. And I was producing this very special segment because Joe and I live here. We love our city. This is the city of angels, and it's a different energy. In my mind, Joe, I love it because I think LA specifically is the entrepreneur's playground. And I think we become more of who we are by who we surround ourselves with. And I think it's really valuable to surround yourself with other dreamers in life. And that's why I think I love Hollywood so much, Joe. It just rewards the imagination. And the more creative you're willing to play with colors and textures and things in life, the more the city rewards you. And I think I love that. Is why I'm here. And I say it on purpose because I said earlier, and I'm going to share it now gosh, Joe, this has been so much fun. I had literally since early this morning on my walk, kept looking at my watch for our get together for today's recording. And I knew it was going to be amazing. You're amazing, Joe. And allow me to share something even more beautiful with you, my friend, if I may. Thank you so much. So those listening, Tara Polly on our network. She and I were talking about the opening act of this very special segment, and we didn't have it yet down. And Tara told me, she goes, Scott, I believe I might know somebody that would be really significant. He lives in the Palisades, and I met him at our big national event. Tara's a real estate leader up there in the Napa Valley, Sonoma County area of California, and she took witness to Joe speaking to the entire brand of Sotheby's at a very large event. Joe does a lot of speaking and leadership, as you can imagine, and you inspire people, Joe. Often in life, we're forgettable. Every moment in life has so much in it. How do you remember all of it? But every now and then, you find people in life that just tickle you for a moment and you never forget them. Joe, you're one of those people in lives. And allow me to share what I mean even further. We reached out to Joe and asked Joe if he would join us on the network and share such an emotionally strong story about home, but wrapped around the title of devastation, and how it affected you, Joe, and your family. And as you always, Joe, live in the spirit of true authenticity. Gosh, Joe, I'm going to share something with you. We aired, for those listening, we aired here on Saturday in Los Angeles on Channel 13. And the network, American Dream TV Network, sent an email to all of us, Tara, myself, Matt, everybody that co-hosted this very special episode. And Joe, you're a very strong part about what I'm about to say. The network has selected our show. We are the network's Emmy nomination. We are going for the Emmy. So this is the submission for the network for 2026. Our date is January. It will be submitted. It had to air locally here first for the particular Emmy. It's also going for a telly. The network is airing it next on HGTV. We're going to be on the Travel Channel. You will soon see this episode on every major streaming platform. You'll find us on Amazon Prime. You will find us on Apple Television, Roku, Tubi, YouTube, television and movies. Everywhere there's electricity and internet, you're going to see Joe and I and Marissa, in fact, and some other beautiful people sharing the stories of what happens in communities when beautiful people show up inside of the ugly. Because I assure everybody listening to us right now, beautiful exists inside of ugly moments. It's just challenging to find it. It's there. This episode found quite a few stories. Joe, you're such an incredible, I've just got goose pimples everywhere. I'm just in the day we recorded, Joe, and just who you are as a person. And you're constantly just what everybody's meeting right now. This is Joe. Isn't he amazing? Yeah, a superstar of industry. And Joe, I thank you so much. Emmy nominated Joe Cilic. And a believer, a dreamer. Joe, as we close out, can I ask a silly question? If you were to go back to your 25-year-old self, usually I like to go back a little bit earlier, but please, let's pop into that age point if we can. And you whisper one belief to hold tight. What would it be? What would you tell your 25-year-old self?
Just believe in yourself, and when you're not feeling passionate about something, know that if you go all in on something, you're going to be better off than being comfortable with staying with something that you're not feeling like you need to go all in on. And so whenever you get to the point where you're not feeling like you're giving it 110%, you can make a pivot to something where you will give 110%. I would tell myself that.
Oh, you're so beautiful. Did everybody hear how Joe opened that up? Just believe. Believe bolder, just like the podcast. Believe bolder in life, and you'll unlock bold things through life. And I promise you, everybody listening is right now, yes, you can. Everything is possible. Find great people to surround yourselves with. And if you're in the LA area, Joe and I would sure love to say hi to you at some point and just get to meet you. And thank you for being a big part of what makes our city so special. LA is literally known as the city of angels for a reason. It's because you're here. Whoever you are hearing us right now, I mean it. We all make this community special. Joe, you're an incredible, incredible person, beautiful human being, an incredible leader in industry, right where the home lives, where the heart lives, where family and life happens. And here you are leading it and becoming a grand leader in LA. Joe, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for sharing just a little piece of your life with all of us. A leader running some of the biggest offices in Sotheby's, selling more real estate than most of us, in the top 100 of all teams in the nation. This is Joe Cilic. When I say a superstar, I could sit here and read you a whole bunch of recognitions, but what you're really learning is Joe is an incredible, gorgeous human being who lives through true authenticity with a spirit of helping others, knowing that if he stays focused on their successes, his are tickled in the background. He's never left that spirit of self-belief in making sure that joy stays activated, even if readjusting is challenging. And all of that is for all of us to hear, because we're all at a different place in life right now. Just know that no matter what you want to unlock, it starts with the vision of the dream first. And then you'll find beautiful people on the path that help you do it. Just make sure that the path that you take is the one that succeeds your life forward, not just a moment in time. Be picky.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott, and congratulations on the Emmy nomination. You and your team and the people that I met through that process are incredible.
Thank you.
And you're well deserving of that recognition. And I am certainly rooting for you to win the award.
Well, it's us who's going to win it, Joe, and I am too. And you and I will find out early bird first quarter next year, Joe. I'm so tickled. We're going out for a couple of tellies as well. Let's see what we get, Joe. I have a feeling they're going to love us. It's incredible. You're incredible. And well, I thank all of you that took the time to listen to Joe and I share some beautiful things with you. And well, I can't wait to visit with you on our next opportunity, on our next episode. And until then, again, if you're in the LA area and you'd love to meet somebody amazing and just have a visit with, you can tell Joe's going to be an incredible person to say hello to. And you know what I love about you too, Joe? You're so easy to find on the internet. Just type in Joe Cilic. He's everywhere. And why? Because he's significant. And anyway, Joe, thank you so much, my wonderful friend. And thank you for all tuning in today. Can't wait to visit with you next time.